Let's talk about crawling. In my role as an infant and child development expert, I often get asked about crawling from parents, especially those parents who are maybe worried about their child not crawling soon enough. Let's cover the basics then of crawling and talk about 5 things that you can do to help your baby with movement. Babies typically start crawling between 6 to 9 months, although as we know, every baby is different, and this is just typical. Sometimes babies can crawl sooner than 6 months, sometimes they can crawl a few months after. If they're not crawling after they turn around 12 to 13 months, then it might be worth mentioning it to your health visitor, but it is important to remember that some babies don't crawl at all. So the only reason that you would really need to be worried or looking out for more red flags is if they don't have any form of movement, if they're not sitting up or rolling. Otherwise, they might just be a bum shuffler or go straight to standing, cruising and walking, which we'll cover in another video coming up soon. Number 1 then. You need to make sure that you give your baby the free time to move around. And this is the most important thing that you can do for your baby's physical development, whatever it is, but especially with crawling, they need to have that time to explore their bodies and explore the floor around them. So giving them a large open space in which to move around, making sure that it's a comfortable space so they're not going to hurt themselves if they fall, but also considering the floor covering that you use to make sure that it's not slippy. So for example, if you've got a hard floor, then taking off their clothes so they're not slipping around can really help them to get some grip. If you've got a carpet, then obviously you can keep baby's clothes on. So you need to assess your environment and see where is best for your baby to have that free floor time. Make sure then that you limit the amount of time that your baby spends in a bouncer or a walker. Now, these are not the devil that people can make them out to be, although I'm not a particular fan of walkers, and we'll come on to that in the walking video that will be coming up next. But try to limit the amount of time that your baby spends in these to just 5 or 10 minutes at a time, because as useful as it is for us as parents, and it definitely is, it obviously means that then our babies can't have that free movement time as much as they would need to be able to crawl sooner and more effectively. Number 2 then is tummy time, that old favourite. Good girl, look at you go. Now, by the time your baby is learning to crawl, or you think that they're about to crawl, so they're around that 6 to 9 month mark, they'll probably be sitting up confidently, and you may think that there's no need for tummy time anymore. That's a really common assumption, but actually it's not true. Babies still need to spend lots of time on their tummies because they need to develop their core strength and their head and neck strength further, but also when they're on their tummy, they are developing their reaching skills, their extending skills with their limbs and moving their body in a way that will help them to practice for crawling. So while allowing your baby to sit up, and your baby may choose to want to sit up a lot, try and encourage that tummy time on the floor as well if you can. The other thing that you can do, and this is tip number 3, is while they're in that position on the floor, use toys to help them extend their reach. So put things slightly out of their reach, above their head, not above here, but kind of to the side, off to the side, so that they're reaching to grab with one arm or the other, and you can change the sides for the toys so that they're reaching and learning to reach with both hands, because although your baby will be either right or left-handed, because that is something that's actually decided when they're still in the womb, we won't know yet whether they're right or left-handed, because typically children don't actually show whether they are until they're around 4 or 5 years old. As well as toys, you can use bubbles. They are a really great tool for many developmental reasons, but reaching to pop out the bubbles in front of you, in front of the baby, is a really great thing to do, fun for them, and obviously is developing those skills. So use bubbles while they're in that tummy time position. And you could also use a ribbon ring or a shaker, something that moves or makes noise to attract their attention, and maybe their favorite toy, so they really want to reach out and grab it. Number 4 is while they're in that floor tummy time position, you can encourage them or help them to practice being on all fours, which of course is the position that they need to be in for crawling. Now, I say this tentatively because actually your baby will do this naturally. You don't have to start putting them in crawling positions. However, if they show signs that they want to be in that position, they're bringing themselves up onto all fours and maybe they're sliding back out of it or collapsing back down, then you can encourage them or support them just by gently placing your hand under their stomach, under their torso. Or if that's not very comfortable for them or they don't like it, you could even just place them on your lap over one knee so that they then can use their arms and move around their legs, and your leg is providing that support for their middle while they explore. As soon as they're feeling confident in that position, you can move yourself away and see how long they can hold it for, and they probably will slide back out of it again at the start, but eventually they'll get better. Again, this is something that they will do on their own. You don't have to do it for them, but if you want to help them, then it's a good tip. Tip 5, once they are on their hands and knees and they can do so without support, you will probably start notice them rocking back and forth. That is the typical sign that your baby is getting ready to start to crawl. So they go up on their hands and knees and they just kind of rock back and forth because they can't quite work out yet how to move from that position. So what you can do is use your hand to support their feet. When they're in that position, put your hand just behind their feet. You can do both feet, but probably it's best to put one hand behind one foot and one hand behind the other foot. And then watch which arm they're moving, and you want to push just gently the opposite foot. So if they're putting this arm forwards, you're going to gently guide that foot forwards and vice versa, so that you're encouraging them and making them realize, oh, when I put that arm forwards, if I move that leg, then that's going to help me to move further towards my goal. And again, using an incentive like a favorite toy or something in front of your baby, something that they want to crawl towards, will encourage them to have that movement even more. If you want play ideas and developmental tips and tricks for your 6 to 9 month old, I'm going to leave that playlist here. It's actually got all the months for development in there. Make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss the next video in this series. Thanks for watching this one, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye.